All right, the season finale of season 1 of Into the Dark comes to a close with the episode Pure. Now, I did look on IMDb and there was a 13th episode added, but I can only assume that that is episode 1 of season 2, which season 2 was confirmed, and season 1 has been advertised as a 12 episode season on every single bit of marketing advertisements and anything I've seen, posters and whatnot. Always says like 12 episodes, whatnot. So I can't imagine that is correct. So, to my knowledge, this is the season finale of season 1. If you don't know what Into the Dark is, you can look into it. But it is a Hulu original series, and this is the final episode. It's an anthology series, so if you're not watching them in order, it really does not matter. And they are feature-length episodes, so these are an hour and a half, every one of them, and every one of them has been good to me. Nothing's been overly great, and nothing's been terrible for me. Everything's just kind of been right in that middle, maybe a little better than okay or good. But nothing's ever really blown me away. Now, this episode is about a young girl, and she has just recently come into a family, being adopted by this man, and he also has another daughter, and he's taking them both to this religious retreat where they are going to pledge their purity to their fathers. And the sister, her new stepsister, is kind of the rebel of the group. She's rejecting it at every turn, and the father, of course, is trying to replace her with a new kid so he can get what he wants out of someone. If one daughter isn't working and you don't have another one around the same age, I guess you just adopt another one to try to replace your daughter with the daughter you always wanted. And a lot of familiar faces in this. The main girl in this is one of the main characters of the new AMC show, Nosferatu. The other one, the rebel sister in this, is in the recent Blumhouse movie Ma with Octavia Spencer. And one of the other girls is in the show Cobra Kai on YouTube. Big fan of that show, and she plays Hawk's girlfriend. And there was other familiar faces as well, but those are the three that really stood out to me. Now, I liked this episode. Much like the other episodes, I'm kind of just in the middle on it. It started strong. It had some unique imagery to it, and I thought it was going to possibly be the strongest of this series so far, but it just kind of plodded along at times and knocked itself down. That said, I did like it. I enjoyed it. I was always engaged. But it kind of falls into that culty trope genre, subgenre. It just kind of feels like the similar beats we've seen many, many times. But the performances are good. It's well shot. The production value is high. I do think there will be a decent amount of people, because these people are fucking everywhere, who call this female empowering, feminist, propaganda, social justice warrior, anything. If anybody's not like male centric, if a film isn't male centric, it just seems to be an agenda these days. Once upon a time, you had women in shows, you had whatever. It wasn't like that. And here's the issue. I know I'm always preaching here. I'm always up on my soapbox here, but fuck, this shit irritates the hell out of me. If you made it, and I just had this conversation with a buddy of mine, Slade Shepherd, you know who you are. Okay, anyway. But if you had an all-male Avengers movie, no one would even notice. No one, it would be very, very, no one would notice at all. It wouldn't matter. Like, everyone would be like, whatever, it's normal. It doesn't matter. But if you made an all-female Avengers, they're talking about making an Air Force movie. People would lose their fucking minds and be like, oh, social justice warrior, they're shoving women down our throat and this and that. It's like, just because the characters happen to be women, it's just baffling to me, man. Like, women aren't allowed to have their own shit. They're not allowed to feel empowered without you saying that there's an agenda behind it. Fuck off. Anyway, yeah, overall, I thought the performances were solid. I was always intrigued. I was always with the story, and I absolutely was getting very angry at times because I am not a religious person in the slightest, and I think this is what they're dealing in this. None of it is all that far-fetched. I mean, it gets into a supernatural area, but outside of that, it's all very, very realistic with what these kinds of cults do. It's not much different. I mean, it's almost just Christianity to the letter, I suppose, or some form of it. I would assume that this is essentially how these groups really are. They make it a little more thrilling, almost like they've been taken away from society and they're kind of like pushed into this little camp, and they're kind of being held against their will. But most of them are just brainwashed into it, which is kind of just religion in general. So that aspect was the horror for me. Like, the actual horror that was injected wasn't as horror to me as the normal everyday occurrences that actually happen, where these girls are made to think that they're literally trash and used up if they ever kiss a boy or fucking another boy before their husband or whatever nonsense. But their husband, they're dudes that they meet. They can fuck, whatever, that doesn't matter. They're not, they don't have to worry about that. But women, they gotta care. Fuck all that. Whatever. That shit is so stupid, I can't take it. But, I wouldn't bring up religion on here because, you're not supposed to talk about politics or religion on something like this, just because it gets under people's skin. It's stuff that, people take very poorly when you speak about it. So, but this episode very much deals with that, so I can't not talk about it. And with me, I'm always going to talk about my actual feelings towards things. And so, yeah, the real horror is in the religious aspect of it. And fuck, man, it was hard to watch at times because, as I said, I know this kind of stuff happens. This is scary stuff, man. Brainwashing kids into believing this nonsense is detrimental. Absolutely detrimental to their mental health. And the place it goes with that, it actually made me angry because of how realistic it was and how much it hit with me. There's a scene at the end. And I really liked the ending. I liked how this wrapped up. I'd put this in probably my top 3 of the series. I did really enjoy the performances. I liked the story. I just wish that, I don't know. I guess now that I've seen it all, and I maybe my expectations because of certain things that were happening at the beginning, and I was thinking, oh, it's going to be more horror, and it's going to be more, there's no real gore or kills or anything like that. So having now seen, because I always press record like 2 seconds after I finish these things, and I don't really gather my thoughts. I kind of just organically have them with you guys here on here. I'm liking it a little bit more as I talk about it, so I dug it. As I said, we're gonna hear all sorts of, oh, this is a chick flick. Okay, sure, I guess. Should women avoid all male films and they should only watch women, but you want to drag them to your movies, but then they got to drag you to your, like, I don't know, man. People are fucking weird. Anyways, it's late. It's 3 in the freaking morning. I gotta go to bed. I've ranted, and I'm sure everyone's like disliked 16 times already. All right, good night, guys. Let me know if you watch it. I look forward to the next season. I don't know how long of a break there's gonna be, but we'll see what that 13th episode ends up being. All right, I'm delusional. I gotta go to bed. Good night.